starting at part of the course that he will remember very, very well indeed, where he had an enormous accident back in 1976. Ronnie White then, from the boy, getting it all together on the first lap of this particular heat. Out he goes, getting traction on the outside of the course and up the hill, and surprisingly, he seems to be dropping Richard Douglas with comparative ease. The Newton Hamilton garage owner far back there in second place, then Raymond Beggs is in third, and the fourth runner in this heat, Wilfie McNeice. But we can hear some very sick-sounding noises coming out of one of those minis. Ronnie White certainly sounds sprightly enough. 1475 cc's, and once again at the cutting, it gets a bit untidy. Ronnie White, who has been in minis since they come out and advertising the glorious competition life of the mini on the front bonnet of his motor car there. Ronnie White, having had a very successful, flying high there, having had a very successful year this year and indeed last. He's Northern Ireland's sprint champion. But at the beginning of the season, he tried to forsake his long love for mini and went into a Ford Fiesta, which he hasn't yet managed to make competitive. So it's back to the mini for the big day here at Boyd's. And once again, a bit of a heart stopper as it goes right out to the tyres every time through the cutting. A nice, very wide line, in fact, into paddock, and he must have lost a little bit of time that time because Richard Douglas, as you can see, is closing up again as they go on to their last lap. So Richard Douglas putting in a late challenge. And I wonder, in fact, if Douglas's car was off a cylinder there for a lap or two, but certainly now he's dramatically closing on White. On their last lap, onto the tarmac for the last time. Ronnie White, number 28. Richard Douglas, number 16, are right behind him. Douglas's car, a 1460cc Mini, but it looks like it's going to be White's heat. Through Boyd's corner, and Douglas has stopped. Douglas is gone. No side of Richard Douglas, he's stopped. Absolute disaster for the neutral Hamilton man as Ronnie White takes the checkered flag. And this is a real heavyweight heat because John Clarkson from Wigan, number 41 on the left of your picture, alongside him, one of the absolute hot favourites for today, John Welch from just outside London, number 39 in his very quick PDA Escort. Then we have Colin Howard, and on the outside, Liam Carey from Cushendall in very exalted company. But look at Welch go, John Welch up the hill. It's a 2.25 litre PDA Escort. And it's very quick indeed. Welch, undoubtedly one of the superstars of international rallycross. His first visit here to Boyd's Quarry, and he is certainly showing his class. And if anyone can beat Martin Schanche, it could be John Welch. And look at that man go! This is sensational. John Welch, who just missed the British Championship at Lytton Hill a couple of weeks ago, when unfortunately this car broke down in him when he was actually leading Tony Drummond at the time, is now putting on a masterful display. But Liam Carey, number 42, surprisingly there, is in second place. A brilliant drive by the Cushendall man, because he's leading John Clarkson and Colin Howard, two very well-known cross-channel competitors. And Welch nearly loses us. Carey is catching. How utterly amazing. Liam Carey holding on to the great John Welch at the moment. And this is certainly one of the David and Goliath performances of the day. Because there is absolutely no doubt that Welch has an enormous power advantage over Liam Carey's car. Carey's car just an overhead cam Escort engine in that car, as opposed to the 2.25 Ford Pinto engine in John Welch's car. Welch now seems to once again have recovered though. Welch, and this is the bit that he doesn't like. It slides very wide indeed, and it's the bit that Liam Carey manages to close up on in each lap. So when Welch runs out of the power advantage, and once again, you can see how brave Quarry is and how close he gets there as they enter the cutting. But this is where the power of John Welch's car just has a huge advantage. Very sideways and feed through boards, magnificent stuff. And once again, getting into big trouble in the Broadway. Quarry much tidier, going on to the last lap, and it promises to be a good one. So John Welch, absolutely international name, being shadowed all the way and very, very closely this time by Liam Quarry. And Welch, surely he's gone. No, he held it. But Quarry there right with him this time. He's got to get past in this part of the course because the superior power of Welch's car is just going to take him into the distance, but he's very sideways as he comes down the cutting. But you can see the very lightweight Escort of Welch's car soaking up the bumps rather better. And again, two sideways through the Broadway, and Quarry right with him. And Liam Quarry challenging at the very last corner, but didn't quite make it. It's John Welch's heat, but certainly Liam Quarry will be very, very pleased indeed with that performance. Only once before has a European rallycross champion graced the Larne Motor Club's event, and yet that was John Taylor. But here we have the ultimate superstar of rallycross, Martin Schanche, number 38 there, blasting off into the distance in his space-age Escort. Schanche, bringing Schanche to Boyd's Quarry would be roughly equivalent to bringing Nelson Piquet to Kirkeson. He is the man that has won the European Championship on 3 occasions, an absolute superstar. And that you are seeing is a 1.7-litre turbocharged Escort, developing at least 400 brake horsepower and probably 470 if he wishes to turn up the boost when he becomes under a bit of pressure. There is certainly no pressure whatsoever on him in this particular heat. And thanks to Alomac, here he is appearing in Northern Ireland. And we can imagine that when he almost certainly, unless cruel luck intervenes, he will get into the A final. It could be John Welch, the man that could really give him some opposition this afternoon. From Oslo, Schanche has won the European Championship in 78, 79 and 1981, and indeed he was runner-up this year. And there it goes, smooth power and not too many unnecessary sideways movements. He really is in command of that motor car. The multi-champion has never been at Boyd's Quarry before, but it isn't creating any problems whatsoever for him at the moment. Up he goes over the hill past some of the casualties of earlier races. And just feeding on the turbocharged power. It's basically the same engine that was used in the amazing Group 5 Zakspeed Capris that are raced in Germany. Detuned a little bit for rallycross, but quite an extraordinary machine, and the only car that can currently really stay with the Audi Quattros, which have won the European Championship this year. But only just, and a very close fought thing it was, from this man. On to his last lap and making it all look quite simple. Literally yards and yards ahead of the opposition, but that was a definite mistake, and I would imagine a very rare mistake from this superstar, because he was right up the bank as he came over the hill. Now I think he's playing a little bit to the crowds as he's way ahead of the opposition. Just listen to the note of that motor car. Up towards Boyd's corner for the last time, smoothly on the power and very, very fast through there indeed, down Broadway, and none of the sideway antics that we saw from John Welch. And there he comes again, drifting it over the finish line, no problem at all to the 3 times European champion in that particular heat.
Well, that was an impressive...
The rally car class this time. Dougie Hoare in his 2-litre cadet Group 1 there on the left-hand side. Alongside him, Alan Roddy from Coleraine, 1460cc Mini. Then we have Brian Harkness, a Mark 1 RS 2000. And finally, Jim Wilson from St. Field with 1600 company. But it's Dougie Hoare, who was runner-up in the rally car class here last year, who leads, going up the hill and a little bit sideways as he went through picture that time. And I wonder if Alan Roddy obviously swapping a little paintwork there as they come down into Bluebell for the first time. So Roddy in second place, right on the grass to the inside in his efforts to get past Dougie Hoare again. So the Lisburn man, civil engineer from the Maze, leading as they come down into the dip for the first time and up towards Boyd's Corner. Dougie Hoare then in second place, Alan Roddy, and Roddy challenging now this time, challenging down the inside into paddock. Is there room? He's going to make room, and he tried to quite a dent on the back of the cadet, you could see there. And coming up into the picture also, we've got Brian Harkness through it back, and Roddy. So Dougie Hoare from first to last, literally in one corner. So the new leader, Alan Roddy, followed by Brian Harkness, and Jim Wilson now through into third place. We wonder what's happened to Dougie Hoare. I wonder, in fact, did that dent in the back rub against the tyre or something? Has it deflated the tyre? But he certainly is in some kind of major trouble. Alan Roddy from Coleraine, a motor mechanic, leads it. And pulling away a little bit now from Brian Harkness from Carrickfergus. He's a regular rallycross competitor, this man, and does a lot of sprints also. And when he's not driving rallycross cars, he likes to go and do a little bit of clay pigeon shooting. Brian Harkness now beginning to close a little bit. The Escort seems to be faster up the hill with the more power. And Jim Wilson holding on very sideways indeed in his... Oh, and he's gone! Wilson on the outside, and he can't have done the little Sunbeam any good. In fact, he hasn't. You can see the front suspension completely askew in that car. That's his first ever event, and he's going to, I'm afraid, to come back with a very bent car, and I think he's been lent that motor car for the day. Meanwhile, the battle royals for the lead. Roddy's still holding on to Brian Harkness, who's making a very late challenge here. Harkness in paddock, sideways. Roddy just ahead of him, going on to the last lap, but I'm afraid Harkness was very wide there and must have lost a lot of time, and that could be the end of his challenge. Certainly not the end of his effort, as you can see. Very fast indeed up over the hill to try and make up for that mistake. And they should be coming across the stranded car of Jim Wilson any moment now. Roddy it is, and Harkness right with him. Harkness on the outside, Roddy on the inside, and if Roddy can just keep it fairly tight and clean, he should have it. Brian Harkness once again a little bit over-exuberant, but once again trying a desperate last-minute effort on the brakes, and Roddy, in fact, very low through paddock that time, but he just got it. Philip Walker from East Yorkshire, number 999 there. Alongside him, Liam Carey, the second of the two brothers from Cushendall, and Dennis Biggerstaff, who desperately needs a good run on this one. Biggerstaff has had a very bad day all day, and indeed things aren't improving at the moment, because Philip Walker goes screaming into the lead, followed by Liam Carey. And this is a very good indication of how the conditions have gone here this afternoon at Boys, because it started out to be an Escort benefit, and as the track has got more and more churned up, the minis have been coming to the fore. 1500cc in Philip Walker's car. He's had two previous visits here at Boys, both of them totally disastrous. He had a big accident last year when he went into a tree, and the front bodywork of that car looking very suspect indeed as it comes down to complete the first lap. Liam Carey right with him though in the blue Escort. Carey, like his brother Con, has been putting up fabulous performances all day. One lap completed. And look at the leaps of Liam. Absolutely over the top, and in that one leap,
He's right with the Mini. In fact, he's been held up badly by the Mini and had to miss a gear there. So a mighty fight. There's Biggerstaff, completely out of the picture this afternoon. Biggerstaff, who we expected great things from, has had all kinds of problems, mechanical bothers, accidents with other competitors, and it really has been a very bad day for the Dramara man. But Liam Carey, now, watch him this time. If he can get round Paddock Bend cleanly and get the power of that Escort on, he can do wondrous things up over the jump. He's well lined up, he's on the inside line. Carey really going for the front, but not being left any room by the Englishman. They touched as they came over the hill, and Carey has it down the inside. A magnificent manoeuvre, quite the best we've seen all day. So, what a piece of driving, and believe me, that took guts, because that's one of the fastest part of the course, and to be able to keep the foot in there when you know that you're being constantly buffeted by your fellow competitor is a fairly brave manoeuvre indeed. Young mechanic then from Cushendall, absolutely now with fire in his eyes, pulling away from the English visitor, Philip Walker. And the two Carey brothers, quite sensational. They've only been in rallycross, this is only their second season, and they've absolutely come to the fore very, very quickly indeed. The brother Con has the superior power in his car, but I wouldn't like to try and judge between the driving talents of these two brothers. Philip Walker, meanwhile, looks as if he's quite given up in this stage. On his last lap, down for the last time, down into the dip. And there he goes, throwing the car with absolute gay abandon through Boyd's, down into second for Paddock Bend, and the very justly deserved checkered flag. Second is going to be Philip Walker, coming home quite a bit behind, and in third, Dennis Biggerstaff, having a very bad day.
Well, conditions are appalling.
False start, the Mini's creeping a little bit there in anticipation, and really, if all was being fair in love and war, it would be fair to give them a little start in this particular field, because there's an awful lot of horsepower just alongside them on the grid. So Martin Schanche, probably the most successful rallycross driver of all time, makes a perfect start, just easing the power down onto the road. In fact, what you wouldn't expect, a car with all that power, it actually suits the width, because the turbocharged engine is so torquey. In second place, it's Richard Douglas, and then in third place, Ron Carey. And I'm afraid Ronnie White right at the back of the field, sounding very sick and misfiring, and once again, I'm afraid bad luck has struck Ronnie White here at Boyd's Quarry. Martin Schanche comes down, leading out of the Broadway for the first time. Oh, lightning reactions there as he fights with his 400 brake horsepower beast to keep it on the road. Once again, you notice not too sideways, keeping it in the right direction, getting the bar down, and it just flies with those wings right over the crest. There's Richard Douglas in second place, the only man that has ever won this televised, the only home man ever to win this televised event. And he's pulling away substantially now from Con Carey. A rather disappointing final this for Con Carey. We expected great things for him, and I think he, like Ronnie White, is in big mechanical problems. So we're going to have to resign ourselves to a magnificent display from this amazing man. Started rallycross in 1975 with a Mark 1 Escort, and then began to develop the car. 1977 was his first really successful year when he won the Nordic Championship, and then 78 came that amazing year. He was first in the European Championship, first Norway, first Dutch, second Belgium, and second in Germany. 79 again European champion, and second in the Dutch Championship. Con Carey there just going through, and Martin Schanche coming down the hill now. Only narrowly beaten for the European Championship for the fourth time this year by the Works four-wheel drive Quattro, Hans Works. 3 laps to go. The man from Oslo. had absolutely no difficulty learning this course. He is helped by Ford of Norway in the car that he works on himself and indeed has developed himself. Still in second place, no change, Richard Douglas, and Con Carey still there in third position. So after all the excitement of the afternoon, a rather subdued final. And we now welcome Radio Ulster listeners who have just joined us with the news that with 2 laps to go, Martin Schanche from Oslo, who has dominated this rallycross at Boyd's Quarry throughout the day, is comfortably leading the A final. In second place is Richard Douglas, who's now incidentally putting on a late charge and has certainly narrowed the gap. So Schanche nearly got into trouble that time. He was very close to the tyres as they go down round the back of the course. So Schanche in a bit of bother. Unfortunately, Con Carey, who we'd expected to put him, and Schanche is in trouble. Richard Douglas is right with the triple European champion. And I can't really work out what could be wrong with the Escort at this stage, but certainly in the closing laps of this one, in fact going on to his last lap, the Norwegian has been put under considerable pressure by the top Irish runner, Richard Douglas. Schanche, however, using all the power of that amazing 400 brake horsepower Escort up the hill this time to pull away again from the 1460cc Mini. So, Schanche leads, and there's Con Carey going very wide in third place, and he's way back. He must be about 20 seconds behind at this stage. The two leaders, and once again, Douglas closes dramatically down the hill. Schanche then has the opportunity to put on the amazing power of this car as it comes round. Schanche and Douglas, and they're right with each other, takes the checkered flag, and the Belfast car ferries rallycross here at Boyd's goes to probably the most successful rallycross driver of all time, Martin Schanche, who came to the Larne Motor Club meeting this afternoon, completely conquered the atrocious conditions, but what a brave effort in the dying laps of that one by Richard Douglas from Newton Hamilton, who put on a mighty show with the 1460cc Mini.